The lasagna sat untouched in the center of the dining table. My mother had insisted on this family dinner. Something important to discuss, she'd said. Now I understood why all 4 of my siblings were here on a random Tuesday night. Before we eat, Dad said, standing at the head of the table, your mother and I have an announcement. My older brother Jake leaned forward eagerly. My sisters Rachel and Sophie exchanged knowing glances. My younger brother Tyler was already scrolling through his phone, barely paying attention. I sat at the far end, wine glass in hand, watching this unfold with growing curiosity. As you all know, we've been thinking about our future, Mom began. This house is too big for just the 2 of us, and frankly, the maintenance is becoming overwhelming. The house. A sprawling Tudor revival on Westchester Drive. 6 bedrooms, 4 baths, an acre of property. The house where we'd all grown up. The house my parents had owned for 30 years. Or so they thought. So we've made a decision, Dad continued. We're going to divide the house among you kids. Multi-generational living is making a comeback, and we think it's time this family lived together again. Jake actually clapped. That's amazing. Madison and I have been looking for more space since the twins were born. Perfect timing, Mom said warmly. We're giving you and Madison the master suite. It's the biggest bedroom and you'll need the space with 2 babies. Rachel raised her hand like she was in school. What about me and David? You'll get the 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor, Dad said. One for you, one for your home office. We know how important your remote work is. Rachel beamed. Sophie was practically vibrating with excitement. Sophie, you and Marcus get the guest suite over the garage, Mom continued. It's like a separate apartment. Very private. Oh my God, that's perfect. Sophie squealed. Tyler, you get the basement bedroom, Dad said. We'll finish it properly. Add a bathroom, a small kitchenette. Your own bachelor pad. Tyler finally looked up from his phone. Seriously? That's sick. 4 siblings assigned. 4 spaces claimed. I took a sip of wine and waited. Mom turned to me with a tight smile. And Vanessa, we know you're very independent, so we thought you'd appreciate the sunroom. We can set up a daybed and you'll have your own entrance through the back patio. The sunroom. A converted porch with windows on 3 sides. No heat. No real walls. Basically a glorified greenhouse. The sunroom, I repeated flatly. It's actually quite charming. Mom said brightly. Lots of natural light. You're always working anyway, so you won't be here much. Jake pulled out his phone. Should we start planning the move? Madison's been packing already. We can be here by next month. Hold on, I said quietly. Before everyone starts packing, can I ask something? What is it, honey? Mom's voice had that patronizing edge I'd heard my entire life. Who exactly is giving away the bedrooms? Dad frowned. Your mother and I, obviously. It's our house. Is it? The table went quiet. What kind of question is that? Dad's voice had an edge now. We've lived here for 30 years. You've lived here for 30 years. Past tense. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Dad, when did you last check the actual property deed? I don't need to check the deed on my own house. Actually, you do. Because things change. I scrolled through my messages. Let me ask you something else. Do you remember 2 years ago when you were having financial trouble? The property tax bill that was 6 months overdue. Mom's face went pale. That was a temporary cash flow issue. It was $47,000 in back taxes plus penalties. The county was about to put a lien on the house. You called me crying at midnight, remember? Dad sat down heavily. We worked that out. I worked it out. I paid the back taxes. All $47,000, plus the $18,000 penalty. Then I paid off your home equity loan. Another $180,000. And then I bought the house from you for the remaining mortgage balance of $290,000. Complete silence except for the sound of Tyler's phone hitting the hardwood floor. What? Jake's voice cracked. I turned my phone screen toward them, showing the county property records. This is the deed recorded with the county clerk 23 months ago. Owner of record, Vanessa Marie Chin. That's me. Rachel grabbed the phone out of my hand, staring at the screen. This can't be real. It's very real. Public record. You can look it up yourself. Property ID number 847-3392-0016. Purchased March 15, 2 years ago for $515,000 total, covering back taxes, penalties, the equity loan and the remaining mortgage. Sophie looked like she might faint. Mom? Dad? Mom's hands were shaking. That was supposed to be temporary. You said you were helping us. I was helping you. By buying your house before the county seized it. You signed a quitclaim deed transferring full ownership to me. You were there at the closing, Dad. You signed the papers. I thought we were refinancing. Dad's voice rose. The lawyer said something about restructuring. The lawyer said you were transferring ownership to avoid foreclosure. You heard what you wanted to hear. Jake pushed back from the table. So you're saying you own this house? The whole thing. Every square foot. I've been paying property taxes, insurance and maintenance for 2 years. New roof last summer, $38,000. HVAC replacement, $15,000. Foundation repairs, $22,000. Total investment of $590,000. Tyler had gone completely white. But we were going to move in. You were going to move into my house without asking me. Slight difference. Rachel's voice was shrill. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? That I saved Mom and Dad from losing everything? That I've been subsidizing their lifestyle for 2 years? When would I have mentioned it? At Christmas when you were all too busy to visit? At Easter when only Tyler showed up? At Mom's birthday when nobody called? The accusations hung in the air like smoke. This is insane, Jake said. You can't own the family house. I don't just own the family house. I pulled up another document. I own a real estate portfolio worth $2.1 million. This house, plus 3 rental properties downtown, plus a commercial building on 5th Street. But you wouldn't know that because none of you ever asked what I do for a living beyond something with finance. You said you were an analyst, Sophie protested weakly. I am an analyst. A senior investment analyst who makes $220,000 a year. Who's been investing in real estate since I was 26. Who built something substantial while you all assumed I was barely getting by. Mom found her voice. You let us think we still owned it. For 2 years, you let us believe this was our house. You never asked. You've been living here rent-free and I've been paying every bill. I was trying to let you keep your dignity. But apparently that courtesy made you think you could give away my bedrooms. Dad's face was red. We're your parents. How can you do this to us? Do what? Save you from foreclosure? Pay your debts? Maintain your property? Or refuse to let you divide up my house like it's community property? Under the table my phone buzzed. A text from my attorney Marcus Webb. Documents ready. Should I proceed? I typed back. Yes. Send everything. What happens now? Rachel asked, her voice small. Now you all go home. To your actual homes. Not my house. You're kicking us out? Mom's voice broke. We're your family. I'm not kicking you out. You can't be kicked out of somewhere you don't live. But Mom and Dad. I looked at them directly. We need to have a different conversation. About rent. About expectations. About the fact that I've been your landlord for 2 years without any of you knowing it. Rent. Dad looked like I'd slapped him. You want us to pay rent? Market rate for a house this size is $4,200 a month. I'll give you a family discount, $2,500. First month due in 30 days. We can't afford that. Mom cried. Then you need to downsize. There are nice 2-bedroom condos in Riverside for $1,800 a month. Much more appropriate for 2 people. Jake stood up abruptly. This is extortion. This is reality. I own the house. I've been generous for 2 years. That ends now. We'll fight this, Rachel said. We'll get a lawyer. Go ahead. My attorney is Marcus Webb at Morrison & Associates. He'll be happy to show your lawyer the deed, the closing documents and the payment records. All legal. All recorded. All mine. Sophie was crying now. How can you be so cruel? Cruel? You all showed up planning to move into my house without consulting me. You divided up my bedrooms, assigned my parking spaces, claimed my closets. And I'm cruel for saying no? Tyler grabbed his keys. I'm out of here. Good idea. You should all leave. This is still my parents' home until we work out new arrangements. But it's not your future housing solution. One by one my siblings left. Jake slammed the door. Rachel was on her phone calling her husband before she reached her car. Sophie left crying. Tyler peeled out of the driveway. Mom and Dad sat in stunned silence at the dining table. The lasagna had gone cold. The family dinner had imploded. "I can't believe you did this," Mom finally said. "At a family dinner. In front of everyone. You announced housing assignments at a family dinner. In front of everyone." "I just corrected the facts." "We're your parents," Dad said weakly. "Doesn't that mean anything?" "It means I spent $515,000 saving you from foreclosure. It means I've spent another $75,000 on maintenance and taxes. It means I've let you live here free for 2 years while I paid for everything. That's what it means." Mom's face crumpled. "Where are we supposed to go?" "You're not going anywhere yet. But things change. You can stay here but you'll start contributing. Or you can downsize to something you can actually afford." "We built a life here," Dad said. 30 years of memories. Our children grew up here. "I know. That's why I bought it instead of letting the county take it. But that doesn't make it yours anymore. It makes it mine." The truth settled over them like a heavy blanket. "When do you need an answer?" Dad asked quietly. "Take a week. Talk to a financial advisor. Figure out what you can actually afford. Then we'll discuss terms." Mom stood up shakily. "I need to lie down." She left the room without another word. Dad started clearing the table mechanically, his movements slow and defeated. "For what it's worth," he said without looking at me, "we really didn't know you owned it. I signed papers but I don't know what I thought. That it was some kind of loan arrangement. That we'd still own it somehow." "You signed a quitclaim deed, Dad. It's pretty clear." "I wasn't thinking clearly. We were about to lose everything. I just signed whatever the lawyer put in front of me. And then you never looked at it again. Never checked the records. Never asked questions. You just let me handle everything and forgot about it." He finally looked at me and I saw how old he'd become. "You were always so independent. So capable. We thought you didn't need us. I didn't need you. But I saved you anyway. And you thanked me by trying to give away my house. That was your mother's idea. She thought if we could get everyone living here together we'd be a family again. Like when you were all kids." "We're not kids anymore," I said. "You can't force a family bond that doesn't exist." Dad put down the plates. "What you said about the investment portfolio, is that true?" "Every word. I've been building it for 6 years. Started small, reinvested, grew it. This house is my biggest asset but not the only one. We had no idea. You never asked. You all thought I was the struggling single daughter with a boring finance job. It was easier than seeing the truth." He looked down. "I'm sorry, for not seeing you, for not asking, for taking you for granted." It was the first real apology I'd ever heard from them. "I know," I said. "But sorry doesn't change the facts. I own this house. Start treating it like that's real." Within an hour my phone exploded. "Jake. This is bullshit. Rachel, how could you humiliate us?" "Sophie, Mom's crying. Are you happy?" "Tyler. Guess the sunroom wasn't good enough for you." I blocked Jake and Rachel. Left Sophie's message unread. Replied to Tyler. The sunroom wasn't even a bedroom. Think about that. Marcus called later. "I sent your parents the ownership papers. Certified mail. They'll get them tomorrow." "Good." I also drafted lease papers. Month to month $2,500 rent, 60 days notice, utilities included. "Perfect. Your siblings are going to lose it. They already have. Jake's threatening to sue. Rachel called me a sociopath. Sophie says I'm ruining the family." "Are you?" "No," I said. "I'm just done being invisible." Marcus chuckled. "You handled that dinner better than I would have. I wanted to see how far they'd go. Turns out, pretty far." That night I drove to my real home. A loft downtown. 2,000 square feet, city view. The place none of my family had ever visited. They never asked. 3 days later Dad called. "We got the documents. And we've been looking at finances. Your mom doesn't want to leave, but we can't afford $2,500 a month. Then you'll need to adjust your budget. That's how it works." He sighed. "There's a retirement place in Pleasantville. 2 bedrooms, $1,600 a month. Your mom cried, but it's nice. Maybe it's time. When are you moving? In 60 days if that's okay. That's fine. What about the house? I'll sell it. Or rent it out. It's too big for just 2 people. He paused. Your mom wants one last dinner. Just us 3. She wants to apologize, for real this time. I'll think about it. That's more than we deserve. He was right. But I went anyway. 3 weeks later I sat in the same dining room. Fewer plates. Same lasagna, but homemade this time. Thanks for coming, Mom said stiffly. Sure. We ate in silence until she set down her fork. I need to say this. I nodded. We failed you, she said. We took you for granted. We ignored your success. You saved us and we pretended it didn't happen. Then we tried to give away your house. Her voice shook. You were always the easy one. So we focused on the others. We thought you didn't need us. We stopped paying attention. Dad took her hand. We were embarrassed, Mom said. Ashamed that you had to save us. So we pretended you didn't. We thought that dinner would fix the family. We didn't think about how it made you feel. It wasn't even a real room, I said softly. I know, she whispered, crying. You deserved more. You deserved respect. Instead we gave you a sunroom. You could have just asked, I said. Before dividing up my house. I would have said no, but at least you would have asked. Dad nodded. We should have asked. About everything. We stopped seeing who you were. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. I'm not giving you the house back, I said. We don't expect you to, Mom said. We just want you to know we understand now, what we did and what we lost. What did you lose? She looked at me. You're not coming to Christmas, are you? No, I said. Not while they're still angry about losing something that was never theirs. We understand, Dad said. If you ever want to visit, we'll be in Pleasantville. Unit 247. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was a start. 6 weeks later I stood in the empty house. My parents had moved out. The rooms echoed with memories. 3 offers already, each above asking. My phone buzzed. Sophie, I'm sorry. I understand now. Can we talk? Maybe I texted. Give me time. Another buzz, from the investor. Final offer. $780,000 cash, 30-day close. I looked around the quiet house one last time. The kitchen, the old bedroom, the sunroom glowing with light. Then I glanced at my portfolio app. My other properties, my savings. My life. Till I texted back. Send the contracts. The house would belong to someone else soon. But the lesson would stay with me. Sometimes saving your family means saving yourself first. Sometimes love means walking away. The sunroom glowed as I left. They'd offered me a greenhouse. I built an empire instead.